Okay, Keith here from Beat the Casino. I had a conversation with Eric of X.net on our forum, and we had some questions about the thread, the very rich thread that he placed up with his statistics. And I thought it would be good to have a conversation about it with him, which we did, which will follow this short introduction. And he explains all the things that he found and some other things that you'll find very interesting. It's a very good conversation. If you're a serious player, it's one you want to watch. But I thought it would make it easier if I could explain just one or two things that we had questions about with respect to the thread and his spreadsheets. One of the things that you may see on his spreadsheet, he may have written 1, 1, and then U, and things along those lines. What that means is, let's say for instance, if you see he wrote 1, 6, and then 1U. That means there was a 1 in a row, and we'll call this the 1 in a row, this one right here. That's a confirmed 1, followed by a 6, 4, 5, 6, followed by an unconfirmed 1 in a row, or an opposite. So that makes, just so you understand, so it's a 1 followed by a 6 followed by an opposite, or a 1 confirmed 1. So if you see him write something like this, 2, 3, 1, 3, okay, that'll be a 2 in a row. So here's my 2 in a row, followed by a 3, followed by a 1, followed by a 3, which is confirmed, and after this it will say 1U, which he's referring to this as an unconfirmed 1. I'm here with Eric X.net on the forum. You know, he graciously put together all this data, and we kind of wanted to get together here and kind of go through the thread and explain some of the things that he was looking into. So anyway, Eric, I'm going to turn it over to you and let you go through the thread and some of the things that you discovered and the things that you're working on. So we thank you for helping us out here and clarifying everything. So over to you, Eric.
Okay. Well, I'll just kind of run through the first post here real quickly. You see a lot of posts throughout BTC, and all the expert players are talking about, they have certain setups and certain things that they like. And many times they can't explain what it is, but they just kind of know it in their gut. Now, some people have empirical data, but a lot of players just get that gut feeling from seeing something 100 times or 1,000 times, and they just kind of know where the shoe's going to go. And I was just thinking, I wonder if we can quantify that somehow by digging the data out of a database of shoes. So that's kind of where I started with this. Basically the math says the next event should be a 1, 50% of the time, 2, 25% of the time, and 3, 12.5% of the time. But if these setups did not exist, the experts wouldn't play them. So what I mean is, I was kind of looking for setups and patterns and lengths of patterns that beat the math, maybe consistently, or at least a little bit. So I wrote a program that basically generates all of the patterns possible from pattern length 1 through 10 and event length 1 through 6. And there's like 21 million patterns. The program looking into the database for each of the patterns, and I'm grabbing the next event. So if we look here at row 3, if we see the 2, 1, then this 1U means the 2, 1 is confirmed and goes to an unconfirmed 1, no matter what it is.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so like down here on 8, a 1, 3, a confirmed 3 turns into an unconfirmed 1. So that's kind of what that is.
Okay.
And then the stats out here in the other columns are what happens to the one after it goes after we get to the unconfirmed one.
Okay. So always at the end is the last event will always be 1U unless, and you can go to an unconfirmed 2 then later on, or an unconfirmed 3. Is that how you figure out?
Well, yeah, that's kind of out here in the 1%, 2%, 3%.
Oh, okay, I'm with you. So if it went to,
Yeah.
Okay. Now on just a couple clarity questions. Let's say, for instance, just for me, on item number 2, you have a 1-1, and did it get, that's a 1U. The last one is an unconfirmed 1, so it's just 2 hands, or is that 3 hands where it actually went opposite again?
This would be confirmed 1, unconfirmed. I'll just kind of start from the beginning here. Let's go with the 1-3 here. So 1-3 occurred 76 times.
Okay.
In 64 shoes.
Okay. Let me just ask a question, because the questions I'm getting is 1-3 occurred 76 times. How many shoes?
60 out of the 64 MGM shoes.
Okay. I'm with you. So now, is that 1-3? Is that's a confirmed 3, and it's always followed
confirmed
by
3.
A 1 that's just in other words, it's followed by an opposite. And that's
exactly
that's the pattern that you saw: 1-3 and then an opposite, and that happened 76 times. Okay.
Yep. And we needed that for the to make sure that the event's confirmed.
Well, yeah, absolutely. You need an opposite. Okay. So go ahead. So okay, 76 times. Then if you'd be kind enough to go across the columns, then what they all mean.
Sure. Yep. So sure. And so column 8, 1, 3 confirmed, unconfirmed 1. So 38 times out of 76, the unconfirmed 1 became a confirmed 1. So 1 stayed 1, 50% of the time, or 38 out of 76.
Okay.
Okay. So 21 times, the unconfirmed 1 went to 2 and became a confirmed 2.
Okay, so all those numbers on the right hand going on those columns is confirmed data. So they were followed by an opposite.
Yes.
Okay, that's what I think where some folks had some difficulty understanding, as did I, is what do the columns to the right there that you're explaining now actually mean? But now I think that made it very clear. Go ahead. I'm sorry. That's cool.
Yep. And it's just continuing. So the 1-3. If we go out here 9 times, it went from 1 to 2, 2 to 3, and became a confirmed 3.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And then on out.
Cool. Very interesting.
Yeah. So it took a little bit to read it. There's no real format for this, so I just kind of made it up.
No, hey man, creativity. So going down then, what was the significant? What do you think is the most interesting thing that you found there?
I sorted the spreadsheet based on 1%. That seems to be the easiest thing to comprehend and probably to potentially bet down the road. So in our 64 MGM Grand shoes, we saw a 1-6 confirmed 16 times.
Mm-hmm.
And then 81% of the time, the 1 stayed a 1. So I think Kevin used to call that the twist.
So you had a 1-6, and then it went to a 1, and then it went to like another confirmed 1 after that, or is that what you're saying there?
Well, the 1-6 confirmed,
right,
and then after the 1-6, the 1 stayed 1 81% of the time.
So it went to another opposite then right after. So you see the pattern 1, 1, and then others opposite, very 81 times, which is above what you would expect.
Yeah, so it beats the math of 50-50. Now, one should stay 1 50% of the time. So we only have 16 samples here. So, there is the possibility we talk about the coin flip. If we flip a coin, we're not going to get 5 and 5 every time.
Right.
So in the database that show up a lot more. Let's see here. These are all the middle patterns. And I could actually go to another spreadsheet and show you this, but
okay. Oh, let's
see here. Well,
there's kind of one too. Two's percentage. There's one you highlighted. 161.
And this was all the way out here to the threes. I don't think the threes are going to be that useful, but it was just kind of to highlight that, in a 161, and this is after our twist.
Right.
We have basically 1-6-1-1 unconfirmed. So the next time, the next event is 42% time. 42% of the time, a 1 stays 1, 2 stays 2, and a 3 stays 3.
Mm-hmm.
But the 33% is way off of the math because that should be 12.5%.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm not sure that this is as playable as a 1 or a 2.
Right.
Just because we got to go through all, this is by the time you hit 42 and 17%, you're going to have the majority of your events.
Yes.
But this is just showing it kind of does beat the math. So in this case, if we go back to, I sorted on the 2's percents, we have a 1-5-1-1, 1 unconfirmed. The 1 stays 1 only 17% of the time and goes to 2 67% of the time.
That's interesting.
So that would potentially be a 1 goes to 2 bet.
Yeah, right there at that particular point, 1-5-1-1. Then an opposite. So if that opposite was on player, you're betting player again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You're gonna to try to get 1 to go to 2 here. That would be the play.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. So some of this stuff is pretty fascinating. Like, let's see. In this case, the 1-2-1-1-2, that's got a 1 on it. So we're 1 unit ahead there. But, and just to make sure that we were working with a data system that is legitimate, here are all of the 1's percents that pretty much match the mathematics.
Oh, it's kind of just a level set. Here's what you should expect. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
That's what this.
Yeah. So 3-1-2, we've got 1 stays 1 55% of the time, and then this one stays 1 45% of the time.
Okay.
So that's just to make sure that we do have a legitimate set of data here.
Gotcha. Wow.
I didn't quite do this in order, but this is the 1's percent being sorted, but this is the bottom.
Okay.
So we're doing the topmost patterns here, and I just kind of picked 75%. That kind of seemed like a really good, breaking out of the normal mathematics point. So at the bottom,
what was that? What was the
25%
that you had highlighted? The 16. I'm sorry, it kind of caught my eye. Was it 80%? What was that one? Yeah.
This was the 1-6.
That's the twist. Okay. Kind of the twist.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's that's way out of whack there. Wow.
Yeah, and it could be some of it to do with the math. If we got more 1-6s, we might.
Yeah.
This might normalize a little more.
Yeah, probably need a little bit bigger sample, but still, it shows. So, the thing is here's the deal with that. As if we actually look at that, you say, well, we don't see that often, right? So, I mean, if you were playing at this casino, you would have seen it that many times, and if you would have thought, okay, here's my kind of, for lack of a better term, here's my twist trigger or setup, you'd have won it 81% of the time. So
that's right.
You know what I'm saying? So a bigger sample does what? This is what actually occurred in the casino, which I think, statisticians and mathematicians always say, well, we need a bigger sample. We need a bigger sample if you're going to play forever. Or we're not going to play forever. And this is my point. This was from what casino? What were these from?
Yes, this was MGM Grand. Way Too Fast had put in these shoes into SFP.
Yeah, and this is my point, is I keep saying that there's a casino bias. Well, there's a casino bias for that twist right there that, is all over 81% of a bias there. That's a real bias identifiable by casino, not necessarily by specific game. So, and that's what I talk about.
Yeah, and that's where I found some interesting. I've been, I joined in 2015. I think it's about 2 years and a couple months I've been here with you.
Yeah.
And I started working on these programs and stuff. This is by far the most interesting part. But what I've found is the most relevant data set to test is it's significant but incomplete.
Right.
So to explain that a little further, you need a large data set.
Yep.
Yeah. But you can't have too much data or it flattens it out.
Well, absolutely.
But honestly,
you
don't need it.
That's basic statistics. I mean, even if you have assignable cause in some sort of system where it's way out of whack, if you keep throwing sample after sample after larger, just more population into it, it will normalize no matter what you're trying to analyze, because it just decreases the significance of each data point. It just keeps diminishing it. So it will, unless the assignable cause is so profound that it never ends, of course. So
yes. So it's really fascinating in that direction. It's I don't think it's. I've read a lot of the posts on the forum. I don't think we've ever really done anything like this because, I mean, it's impossible to go through every setup by hand. There's just not enough time.
A couple of the ones that are interesting there is the 2-1 like line 12 there. So you have a 2 followed by a bunch of zigzags, and 80% of the time it just stays 1 again.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's a 6. So in this case, at this casino, the 6 goes to 7, 80% of the time.
Yeah, it continues. That's interesting, and I think what's interesting, just generally from looking at it, and I don't know if you can draw the same conclusion. Or perhaps we're jumping the gun because it isn't backed up by data, but you can see like the 2s, like when you start having like the last 3 events, like 2, 2, 3. It follows up 80% of assignment still goes to 1. So the choppiness seems to stay that way, I guess, is the only thing you can conclude there.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of data we need to dig into. If you don't mind, I could go over to Pando's shoe for Sky City. I did some interesting work on that. This is a set of 204 shoes from Sky City that Pando entered. I've sent this to Pando, and he's looking into it as well already.
Right.
So we've got a lot of data here. So I think I don't have it matched on one. So let's go ahead and sort it by the ones percent value and largest to smallest. So the nice thing about this was this had a lot of data, and you see a lot of patterns here. Some of the more interesting ones to me were the ones with higher number of events. Now the sample did flatten out like the percentages a little bit, but like for example here, this 1411. This has 91 events, and that has a lot more than say the rest of these up here.
So line 295 there. Okay, yeah, that's
with the green
that sticks out there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for, is the thumb sticking up in the air here. So we've got 1411 occurred 91 times, and that's the most of any of these upper ones. So 91 times, and then it occurred 91 times out of 204 shoes, and then it stayed 68% of the time, which is or I'm sorry, it stayed won 68 times, which is 75%.
Yeah.
So this is the kind of thing I was looking for. In my opinion, this one really sticks out.
Yeah, it does.
So yeah, so just I guess to explain that further, if you want to edit this, is when we get a 1-4-1-1 confirmed, and we go to the next one that's unconfirmed,
Yeah.
that occurs 91 times. It stays won 68 times, which is 75%.
But it's going to go off
So
again. Yeah, absolutely.
yes,
I think.
and I think
You go ahead.
this is enough of a sample size. I think this is enough of a sample size to say, hey, this is beating the math.
Oh, absolutely. And again, that to what I'm always trying to push for is casino specific. And I know you get it now too. Well, you've always understood it, but it's like if the sample size is too big, it's going to normalize. That's just the way math is. It will normalize unless if this may continue. Now, this may continue in this casino. So unless they do something about it and someone else notices some sort of process flaw that this is occurring. Who knows why it occurs? I don't have any explanation. Do you? I have no idea.
No. I mean, it's cosmic.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's cosmic.
Here's another decent example. This one sticks out a little bit. It's got 45 events, not quite as many, but it's riding on that 1-4-1-1. This is a 1-4-1-2.
Yeah.
So 71% of the time, the 1-4-1-2, one stays one.
Yeah.
So if we were to get a 1-4-1-1 or a 1-4-1-2, no matter where that confirms, the next most likely event is for one to stay one.
Yeah. And I think what we're talking about here, when we originally started doing analysis like this, Eric, is, we always look for single, let's see, I'm trying to think of the best way to describe it. Like not non-complex event, like 2 in a rows or 2s go to 3s or 3s go to 4s, things along those nature with the SAP count. These are kind of compound events now and multiple things that we're looking for, multiple triggers, where they're composed of, 3, 4, and 5 events that do the setup rather than just one. So I think, your analysis has done, just a phenomenal job of trying to quantify, what do you look for and what do you see in these setups? So.
Yeah. Well, and it's something, it's not something up until now. A human being couldn't sit here and do this. You wouldn't have enough time.
No. you have to do
I can,
and that, I think, while I know a lot of players like to say it's feel, but when you're dealing with numbers and cards and things like that, yes, it can be feel, but the feeling is from what you saw before and observed of it happening too many times where it triggers off a memory usually that says,
yes,
hey, this happens too much. And every time I do this, I win, or every time I do it the wrong way, I lose, So I think when we say it's I don't know, it's experience based upon what you've observed and what your mind remembers as being the case more so than not. And I think, to your point, you're trying to quantify it.
And this might help us newer guys, bypass the need to set and there's never going to not be a need to practice, but
right.
If we don't have to see the same setup 100 times in 100 different shoes, it may help us get there a little quicker.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do think that the reason we segregate everything out in the strategic Baccarat interface, number one, by casino is I think it's very casino specific sometimes. And I think that's a variable that we just don't want to dismiss too quickly. At least I would think so, because if there's some process that they're doing that is causing it, then it will be casino specific,
let me just continue and help you prove that point.
Okay. I get a lot of pushback on that no, it isn't, and I got a lot of people saying I don't believe it. And I'm, it's when they say that, especially like players who are pros, it's kind of like, you can't be serious. Here's the data. But anyway,
Yeah.
I guess it doesn't.
Well, here's the two things that come to mind, and I still consider myself new to this, but first of all, each casino is going to have a shuffling procedure. I don't know if it's the same everywhere. I would doubt it. And the second thing, if these are all pre-shuffled shoes, maybe they're ordering their own set of pre-shuffled shoes.
Yeah, I guess. I always, sometimes I know in the past a lot of people got into these conspiracy theories, and it kind of got
Yeah.
into the realm of like just being a little ridiculous. I don't think casinos order pre-shuffled cards in a certain order to deal certain ways. I just that's
Yeah.
that's too much of a stretch for anybody. But I
Okay.
think if it is, it certainly has to be. Well, it doesn't have to be, but I'm more lenient towards it's unintentional. Seems to be in the realm of reasonable. Like, what is more likely the case? Is it pre-shuffled
Yeah.
and sorted a certain way to deal the cards that way, or is it more likely that it's unintentional? Well, needless to say, it's probably unintentional. And if they have their statisticians watching the games, which I know in the poker world, that's how they found people cheating, is this guy is way on the other side of winning too much.
Yeah.
They probably are really. I would say if it was me, I would make sure the game is as random. I don't want to say as random as possible. It's either random or it isn't, but that the game is dealt randomly to minimize any sort of exposure. I would think that would be how they would think.
Yeah. Well, and there's a lot of things we don't know too. Let's say
Right.
two casinos use the auto shufflers, and it's version 1 of the auto shuffler software. Well, different casinos may use version 2 of the auto shuffler software.
Exactly.
There's some things that we just don't have the data to find out, but could cause these events to pop up like this.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
So I'll go back to this results spreadsheet here that I got on the screen. This was a little bit older spreadsheet, so it looks a little bit different. But this is these 4 casinos had the most shoes. MGM Grand had 64. Aria had 40, 50. Cosmo had like 30, 40. Palms had like 30, 40. I don't remember the exact numbers. So what I did was I just searched or sorted all of these on the 1% again, and then kind of moved them over here. So these are all the 1%, and each of these has the 1U on the end of it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I just came up with that. Yeah, I came up with that format afterwards.
Okay.
And so this just shows what we're looking at here. So what I found was in this very first time I ran this a couple weeks ago, like Aria here, if you notice Aria and Palms, they have a 2-5 and a 2-5.
Okay.
So the same event pops up at both casinos. And this is, 83% of the time, 1 stayed 1, and 100% of the time, 1 stayed 1 at the Aria and Palms.
Wow. After a 2-5. That's a musical
Yep.
thing. It's a musical thing. I'll never forget that. 2-5-1, D minor, G7,
Yeah.
C, 2-5-1. So.
And then 3-1-2-1 shows up.
And it stayed 1.
Yeah, this is only the 1 stays 1. So it was a little bit. I think this is what I showed Kevin. So I made it a little less messy to read. And then this isn't exact, but you got a 1-1-4-1-1. We got a 1-1-4-1 here. So at the Aria and MGM, pretty close.
Yeah.
We're just missing that leading 1.
Yeah. Well, I think also too there's something really solid here to what you said. Like, we are dealing with cards and 50-50 gambles and whatnot. So I think comparing a 1-1-4-1-1 and a 1-1-4-1, you're kind of in the realm of the same type of sweet spot of the shoe, so to speak.
Yeah.
I know we talk about the sweet spot of where a certain game may be vulnerable. Like here we're seeing this and here we're seeing this. So, maybe we see setups that are kind of in the realm of what we're looking for too. I don't know. We would have to do a correlation study to check that out, I would think. So.
Yeah. And we've got also, I just noticed ARIA 2.5 and the MGM at 2.25.
Yeah.
So very similar there. And that kind of shows up if we go back to my other spreadsheet here.
And again, Eric, that last frame there, that was all ones then. They all went to a confirmed 1 after the 2.5.
Yes, it's just a little bit different format. It's an older spreadsheet format that I was using. So everything has got that 1U after it, and this would be that one unconfirmed stays 1.
Okay, yeah, I'll put that. I'll make a breakout video and insert it here so everybody's clear on what we're talking about. So.
Okay.
Cool.
And let's go back to this real quick. Let's go back to Sky City. So I was kind of working my way through here. Yep. So we're back to the Sky City spreadsheet, and what I wanted to do was try to get some confirmation on like a core event.
Uh-huh.
So for example, the 4-3 here.
Okay.
Showed up 102 times, so significant sample size.
Right.
65% of the time, 65 times, the 1 stayed 1, which was 64% of the time. Not as dramatic as some of the other numbers, but we have more shoes, but it still beats the math by a significant amount.
Yeah.
Which is 64%. So what I did was I filtered this row. I wanted to find the other instances of 4-3. So we've got 1-4-3, 2-4-3, 3-4-3. So let's just look at those.
Okay.
So the 1-4-3 showed up 56 times, which is just about half. It's exactly half the amount. But the 1 only stayed 1 35% of the time. No, I'm sorry. Scratch that, edit that out. The 1 stayed 1 62% of the time.
Yeah.
So that's basically confirming that the 4-3 and the 1-4-3 are working. Here's the 2-4-3. The 1 stayed 1 59% of the time, yes, and the 3-4-3 stayed 1 61% of the time. So we had the 4-3 at 64%, but these other ones are kind of backing that up.
Yeah.
Like, hey, 1-4-3, 2-4-3, 3-4-3 are very similar.
Right.
And then here's the 4-4-3
at 67%.
Which is a slight improvement.
Eric, do you think one of the things I've been talking about is to weight the triggers or the statistics that we're actually looking at as which one is significant? One is, we could have, is there a certain amount of hands? Like, in other words, a 1-4-3, that's 7, 8, 9 hands right there. Have you looked at it that way, at seeing anything with like, well, we have 9 hands, and after 9 hands, the triggers tend to become extremely consistent and predictable.
Well, I have not, but Pando, let's give Pando some credit. He sent me an email the other day, and he said he sees it around 10 or 11 events.
11.
Like
in any
10 to 11.
In any combination.
Yeah, like yeah. So like this is this 4-3, that'd be 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 hands.
Yeah. And
this would be 10 hands. And I didn't notice that, but he picked that out of there.
Yeah, that's why I mentioned it. It just seems like there seems to be more validity in not extremely long, and there are some short ones too. Well, let's see, a 2-5-1, that's 7, 8 hands. So there seems to be a sweet spot between maybe 8 and 11, 12 hands in there, which seems to validate things a little bit better. So.
Yeah, where we start seeing the deviations in math that reoccur.
Yep, absolutely.
Yep.
So, well,
Yeah.
listen, thank you very much for clarifying this. It's just extremely valuable information for our members, and this certainly is going to benefit a lot of people, a lot of folks trying to learn how to play. And I can't thank you enough for your participation at Beat the Casino and
You're welcome.
everything that you do for it. So.
You're definitely welcome, and I would say this: if we can get a bunch of shoes in strategic Baccarat interface, I will be happy to pick them off and run them through this data miner and see what we can come up with. But it would be good to have two to 300, 400 shoes, and I can play with the sample size so it doesn't get too normalized.
Right.
But if we can have a real good participation in strategic Baccarat interface to get more shoes in there, I'd be happy to run the data miner against it.
Okay, thank you. And also too, Eric, too, we can also we have the roulette going too now, so hopefully we'll get some participation in that, and get some stats coming out of roulette here. Sure, I know the CT is very interested in that, and I know it was Norm's first thing. I sat and played roulette with Norm a couple times, and so it was his first love too. And so great stuff. So, well, listen,
okay.
I'll chop this up and slice and dice it and put some pretty pictures in it, and we'll kind of go from there then. Thank you very much, Eric.
Glad to help. All right,
brother. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, hey, I'm here with Jeremiah, one of our top players from BeatTheCasino.com. Jeremiah, did you have a good time playing tonight?
Had a great time.
Did you win some money?
I won a lot of money.
All right, would you tell anyone to join?
If you are not a member, you have got to join up. It is the best out there.
Hey, don't forget to check out our website for the latest Baccarat and Blackjack information. We have players from all over the world. The best players in the world are members of our website. And let me tell you, it's a lot more fun when you win. You could be a member too. Don't forget, BeatTheCasino.com. Blackjack information. We have players from all over the world. The best players in the world are members of our website. And let me tell you, it's a lot more fun when you win. You could be a member too. Don't forget, BeatTheCasino.com.